welcome to this video where I'm going to be talking about reasons that book to movie or book to TV show adaptations usually fail. Now, touchy subject, I know. And I think a lot of people complain about how adaptations are always failing, but they don't seem to address why and the reasons for that. And I get it. Transforming a book from, use my own book for a quick sec, from this thickness, I mean, this isn't even the thickest book. I know it's not easy to transform something from a book to on-screen, because on-screen there's a lot of things that don't work that work in books, because there's a little more freedom there than on screen. But there are some very key things that kind of are why adaptations usually fail. Now, I have 4 things here. 4 things that I think are things that can be controlled. Things that can actually be controlled. Now, I'm gonna try and not dip and stab at some adaptations here. Okay, maybe one. When I do poke at them, there's a reason. So, yeah, let's just get into this. So, our first reason why adaptations usually fail is a lot of filmmakers abandon the original storyline. And I get it. You want to make your own spin. I get you want to do your own thing. You want to make your own spin on the story. You want to make it yours. But you got to remember that usually books are adapted because they're popular and people actually want to see them on the screen. And so there is an audience behind it. And if you change the storyline that the audience of the book loves, and you're going to get some backlash. And there's going to be a lot of things that happen, and frankly, it's not great. And at that point, you're just using the world that the author has created and character names, and then you're just not even following through with the story that goes with it. Follow the storyline, and you might have a better, you might get your adaptation received a bit better. But that's been a problem for a lot of things, and yes, they should change a few things. And in fact, for Shadow and Bone, they changed things, but they didn't stray from the main storyline of Shadow and Bone. They kept with it. They made a character more likable. They introduced us to characters that we weren't even going to see yet in the story. They made changes, but these changes didn't affect the main storyline so much that the main storyline was unrecognizable. Maybe take some notes, filmmakers, because so far they're doing a good job. I'm saying so far because it's really hard to say that things are successful. On to our next point, which is casting mistakes. Now, this is where I'm going to poke fun at an adaptation, which is the Shadowhunters TV show. Now, that had bad acting. And also, they changed the storyline too much. There's so much wrong with it. They changed the storyline to be almost unrecognizable. Almost. You sort of still recognize some of it, but not a lot. So, yeah, there were a lot of casting mistakes in that, and I think it's because the casting directors, or I don't know all the terms for movies, but I think it's because when they're doing casting, they're looking for people who look the part. Who look the part. They don't look at people who have a good and strong acting career or are really good at acting. They're looking for people who just look the part. And there's where your issues lie. I'm trying to figure out how to say this, but so there were some issues I had with some of the actors in the Shadowhunters show, and that was because the acting was just bad. It was so awful. Oh, ugh. I didn't like it. I didn't want any of it to happen. There's a reason I didn't watch past the first season. The fact that I made it through the first season is a miracle. But, because I was like, maybe it'll get better. Maybe it'll get better. And then it just dumpster fire, that's all it was. But yeah, so casting mistakes, often people are cast not because of their acting talent, partially because of their acting talent, but mostly because they look like the characters, and they've seen people get absolutely destroyed by actors that don't look like the people in the books. And like, sure, okay, yes, but also it shouldn't matter as much. There's this thing called hair dye. For me, I would rather a character not look like who they're supposed to look like, but have a good acting, but be a good actor. I would prefer the good acting over the looks, because you can do a bunch of things with the looks. You can dye a person's hair, but yeah. So I think because people are usually casting for looks and not acting skill, it really brings a detriment to the whole thing that is your acting career. People need to realize, just because the character doesn't look like they do in the books, okay, just because an actor doesn't look like how the character in the book looks, doesn't mean you can't do things to kind of help that. And also, I know that there's a whole thing going on about, I think, with the new Percy Jackson TV show that Rick Riordan's working on with Disney, is the fact that I think it was Annabelle's character was cast by a person. So Annabelle's character is being played by a person of color, and as someone who read the first book like ages ago, and doesn't remember anything, but still, like, I would prefer someone who can act as to someone who looks like the character. I would prefer it. I would prefer the person who can act like the character rather than the person who looks like the character and can't act like the character. So I don't like all the backlash that's going on about it because this person doesn't look like Annabelle. Like, okay, but also, fuck you. Like, I would think more on acting lines. Don't think about the looks. The looks is what ruins things a lot. And so that's going to get us into our next point, which is style over substance. A lot of movies go over the style. They make sure everything looks perfect, and then they don't actually make sure that what they have scripted out is good. And style only gets you so far. Style points only get you so far. You need to have a good script, you need to be able to figure all of that out. And this is my problem with a lot of adaptations, is they make sure everything looks good, but then they fail at making it a good story, because spend so much time focusing on style and not the substance of everything. And that's where a lot of things go wrong, and oh, there's just so much. Now, because and to play into the fact that scripts, because the script is very important, here's our next point. Authors are often not consulted. Some authors just let the filmmakers do whatever they want. Some authors would love to be included, but then they're not consulted on any major decisions, major changes, or anything, even though they should be. They really should be included in those conversations, because then they could essentially slap whoever's slap the script writer and be like, no, this is not right, this is not how this should work, or even the storyboarder, like, this is not how this works. Like, we need someone there to just, like, slap some sense into filmmakers, because this is why adaptations fail. Like, authors aren't consulted when really they should be. Casting is done mostly for looks and not skill. And I get people need practice, but, like, really? You're going to choose one of the most difficult things to get an audience pleased by? Is there practice? You really don't know what you're doing. So, yeah, those are the reasons that I think adaptations fail. I don't really have anything else. Honestly, it all boils down to the script and making sure that you can get good actors, not actors that just look like the part, but actors that can actually act the part. I'm sorry, but there are some really bad actors out there. But yeah, so if you enjoyed this video, give it a like. If you want to see more content from me, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell so you get notified when I post new videos. If you want to support me, go buy my book. You can pre-order my second book as well. Links are in the description below, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye!